Good morning, University. I'd like to begin today with a reading from 2 Corinthians chapter 12, beginning in verse 7. This will be from the ESV. So to keep me from becoming conceited, because of the surpassing greatness of the revelations, a thorn was given me in the flesh, a messenger of Satan to harass me, to keep me from becoming conceited. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord about this, that it should leave me. But he said to me, My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Do you have a trait, a personal quality that you consider a blessing, but maybe sometimes it also feels like a curse? I am a details-oriented person, and that has been a blessing at times. I've always enjoyed drawing and painting, and I think it's because of the way that I see detail that I can translate an image to a piece of paper or to a canvas. I want to take an opportunity to show off my kids here, and so this is a painting that I did of my twins as they were rummaging through a refrigerator in the Bible Chair apartment. This is an image of Landon back when we were at Grammy and Poppy's house in East Texas. That was one of his favorite shirts. And this is an image of Lucy. And this is probably one of the images that's more special to me. I like to look at it and think about, what was she thinking as she was writing on this piece of paper on her mom's piano. But sometimes seeing details can feel a little bit like a curse. The students at the Bible Chair, they have fun with the fact that I'm a bit of a germaphobe, but I feel like I've got good reason. I mean, one time I was at the JBK, and we were in a bathroom. I was washing my hands, and I hear Landon say, "Hey, Dad, what is this?" And without even seeing him, I knew in my mind what was happening. And I look at Landon, and he's standing at a urinal, and his hand is flat on the bottom of the urinal. And he's asking what that colored piece is. And it was a flushless urinal, mind you. And I immediately say, "Landon!" And his first reaction, hands on the chest, wiping on his shirt. So I say, "Get your hands up." And so Landon puts his hands up. We wash his hands. We lived in the Bible Chair at that point, and we walked all the way back to the Bible Chair apartment. Landon's got his hands up the whole way, not to make a bigger mess. That's part of the reason we didn't travel recently. It's hard to control those kids in a public space, in a bathroom. They'll touch one thing and they'll be eating a bag of chips the next second. And this is not a good time in our society for that to be happening. So there is a side of that being detail oriented, being perfectionistic at times that can honestly control me. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr., but there's a moment where he's in a restaurant and he just can't get his mind to be still because he keeps seeing every little thing that every person is doing. And I'm not exactly that way, but that kind of captures how sometimes that quality in me can control me. I become perfectionistic. I can overcomplicate things. I get hung up on a really small detail that really in the bigger picture isn't as important. A problem, though, that really arises is that spiritually, I start looking at God in the same way. I start to see God as one who gets hung up on every little detail, and I stop seeing Him as gracious. And so I have a friend who he had to step down from a preaching position one time because he got caught up in some sin. But about a year later, with relief on his face. He told me his family had made it through this challenge, and he said, "You know, Kent, I've always preached grace, but I never knew it was for me." And that's the way that I feel sometimes. Is I stop seeing God as gracious, and and there's something about 2 Corinthians 12 when I hear that idea of His grace is sufficient for me. It's like taking a big drink of water. Taking it one step further, when I see God as ungracious, I become ungracious. Sadly, this often comes out with me being ungracious with Bryn or with the kids. I become really perfectionistic, really hard. I get hung up on the smaller things, the less important things, and they suffer the consequences for that. And I'm sorry for that, and I consistently repent of that. But when I see God as gracious, I become more gracious. There's a passage in Luke chapter 7, and Luke writes, "Then turning toward the woman," this is in verse 44, "then turning toward the woman, he said to Simon, 'Do you see this woman? I entered your house. You gave me no water for my feet, but she has wet my feet with her tears and wiped them with her hair. You gave me no kiss, but from the time I came in, she has not ceased to kiss my feet. You did not anoint my head with oil, but she has anointed my feet with ointment. Therefore I tell you, her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she loved much. But he who is forgiven little loves little.'" And I really believe in this story. This woman is loving Christ because she has been forgiven. And when you've been forgiven much, you love much. When I see God as gracious, I become a much more gracious person. I become a better person. I believe we all have strengths and weaknesses, and strange enough, sometimes our strength is also our weakness. When you think about your weaknesses and you want to say, why am I like this? Maybe you want to cry out to God, why am I like this? And you want to throw in the towel. Remember, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Hope you have a great day today.